Well, in this episode, we avoided a life-end celebration like this one, but barely just. Our girl came close to losing her head in this episode, quite literally. And while it's not the first time her life is in peril, what makes this unnerving is that neither she, with all her knowledge about the world and this story, nor Noah, with all his supreme competence, neither of them know where this attack came from, and neither knows when their adversary might strike again. Oh, but we know. We know, and we've known for a long time. Even anime-only newbies could tell from a mile away that the villain was the person who is supposed to have been Raeliana's closest friend all along. But who cares about stinky old murder when our eyeballs were blessed with new character reveals in this episode? Oh, yes, my priorities are doing very well, thank you very much. If I were to sum up this episode in one word, it would be revelations. The first of these revelations that we got was 𝙏𝙗𝙖𝙣𝙠's magnificence as a holy man. This guy has an army of holy knights at his disposal. But what's most impressive is just how fine he is. Now that I think about it, I'm beginning to sense a pattern here. This is the second priest, holy man, etc. that I find myself admiring. Respectfully, of course. Anyway, 𝙏𝙗𝙖𝙣 really wants to become friendlier and closer to Raeliana, so after thinking about how a guy he knows dotes on his grandchild, he decides to have Raeliana call him grandfather, so they can have a close relationship too. Of course, this is random and sudden and Raeliana declines initially, but after he saves her and manages to keep her head from exploding, she has no other choice but to do as he says and call him grandfather. When it comes to priests and such, there is only one man I would think to marry, but I wouldn't mind calling grown-up 𝙏𝙗𝙖𝙣 daddy. 𝙏𝙗𝙖𝙣 went from being this small child to this grown-up magnificence, and keeps his grown-up form as he has a chat with Noah. He discloses the true nature of the exploding gem. It is crystallite, a dangerous metal that comes from the Holy Land, and which few people have access to. He also takes an immediate dislike to Raeliana's fiancé and orders Noah to break things off with her. Noah declines this, of course, still playing the role of the devoted fiancé. But just how much of this is play acting and how much is reality? Which brings us to the second revelation in this episode. Up to now, Noah has never, not once, shown his true emotions to anyone. He's always been cool and calm and collected, hiding everything under that smile. But in this scene, we finally get a glimpse of his emotions, and underneath that noble's mask is a duke that is truly losing it over Raeliana. In his worry over her, he enters a purification chamber and insists that Raeliana tell him everything. What is she hiding? Is her life in danger because of the royal seal? Or is it something else? If there's anybody here who should be close to losing it, it should be Raeliana. She spent hours pondering the same question. That's why she says, I don't know, let's talk about this later. But he's not having it. He doesn't want to drop it and he gets handsy. And like a good girl, she throws him into the water because she's not about to let a guy manhandle her that way. Good for you, Raeliana. Good for you. The purification waters have a secondary effect, and that is they help to cool off his head and make him return to his senses. And we get that rare insight into his mind, where he's beginning to wonder why he's losing it over her, and is beginning to acknowledge his feelings for Raeliana, even if it's just a little bit. It was such a lovely scene. It was really fun to see Noah lose his marbles for once, and I was glad that Raeliana didn't let herself be pushed around either. Next, we get a proper reveal of a new character that will play an important part in the novel because, of course, every romance of the genre has a secondary love interest, and if anyone can come close to stealing Noah from Raeliana, it might be this pretty boy, who, unfortunately for him, is Vivian Shamal's brother as well. Finally, we get confirmation that Beatrice is indeed the puppet master behind the most recent attempt on Raeliana's life. I wonder if she also had anything to do with the earlier kidnapping incident. If you will all remember, Jake and Francis were working for an unnamed client. And also, I freaking hate her face. Just that smile and that blank stare. I don't know, I find it repulsive. Go away, Beatrice, go away, shoot. Now, webcomic comparisons and general thoughts. For the most part, this was faithfully adapted. The only thing that would have made things clearer is the bit with the dropped handkerchief, but that's a minor thing. This lady added some kind of potion or magic spell or whatever to make Noah fall for her. Noah is smart enough not to touch it, and he had his friend deal with it in retaliation for him having threatened to take Raeliana from him in the earlier episode. I'm glad that in this episode, the banter between 𝙏𝙖𝙖𝙠 and Wade is as funny as it was in the webcomic. I also did love the scene where Noah and 𝙏𝙖𝙠 are trading barbs over Raeliana. Again, Wade's little reactions were really fun in this scene as well. Those two do add to the light-hearted charm that is so present in the original medium, and that the anime sometimes misses out on. Overall, I really enjoyed this episode, so let's get to the next one. The finish line is in sight, and I hate that for two reasons. The first is I waited much too long for this anime to be adapted, only for the 12 episodes to be gone in a flash. And I had to wait for this anime to be adapted so that I could finally fall in love with Noah, only for him to be taken away from me, my second golden-eyed husbando. But most importantly, this sucks because as the story is wrapped up, there's a bunch of content that needs to be covered in a shorter amount of time. Don't get me wrong, I truly love the date that Raeliana and Noah had together, but some little cute asides and extra were cut out, so I'm gonna talk about them. Let's go from the top. As Raeliana looks out on the sword practice going on below her window, she's pondering on her own mortality and what she can do to protect herself. She thinks it would be good to learn sword fighting skills, but girl, you're a freaking ace with a gun. Just carry one with you at all times and blow your opponent's head off. I don't know, it just seems like the more convenient option. So she tells Noah about her wish and he's like, nah, you shouldn't. In the webcomic, we get him relenting and teaching her a technique that requires her gathering her energy, only to then bust a move that he claims anyone can do. Yeah, if his definition of anyone are his own knights and himself, he's way off base. Behind his back, his knights urge Raeliana not to take lessons from him. He takes her out on a date. Off they go to a jewelry. In the anime, he grabs her by the shoulders and walks her to the proprietress of the jewelry store. In the webcomic, he has her sit on a chair and then pushes her chair forward. They're bickering and being adorable together, so much so that his own knights look on in confusion. We get this quick shot, but the dialogue in the webcomic between Lady Ainsley and another knight, who has never seen Noah acting so out of character, was cut. The second stop on their date is the bookstore. In the webcomic, we see that this is the exact same store where Raeliana bought that book on how to dump her boyfriend back in episode 1, and the clerk recognizes her and asks her if she still hadn't broken up with him, thinking that Noah was the guy she had bought the book for. Noah tells the clerk that, yeah, if she tries to buy other such books, please stop her. The clerk obviously thinks that Raeliana is insane for wanting to break up with someone like Noah and makes a face. We do get an extra little bit in the anime that wasn't included in the webcomic, where Noah takes Raeliana out on the river on a boat, where, for once, they just seem to be having a genuinely good time enjoying themselves. This is what we like to see. When Raeliana goes home, she hears from a maid about a room in the house with a certain magic mirror that will answer any question that she has. Curious, she goes in search of this mirror at the most convenient time of day, midnight, of course. While she's there, she imagines seeing a blue-eyed something or someone staring back at her. What could it be? Not like she gets to find out because Noah somehow finds her and startles her. She drops the mirror and it crashes to pieces. There goes her chance to get to the bottom of the mystery surrounding Beatrice. Now, throughout this episode, we have enjoyed this wonderful banter between these two, but there is also quiet moments when they are genuine with each other. I especially liked how Noah asked permission to read a book that she was reading and spent several hours reading next to her while she went to sleep. While this book wasn't his cup of tea, he didn't mock her taste, but instead pointed out instances where it was unrealistic or where the plot was contrived with all its coincidences. But he did not laugh at her for being so enthusiastic about her favorite romantic parts. And let me tell you, that made me supremely happy. That is the greenest of green flags. I obviously do not expect my significant other to like the books that I am into, or the movies, or the hobbies that I am super passionate about, though it would be nice if he appreciated it. However, I do expect him not to mock me, or mock the people that enjoy it, or dismiss my favorite genre as silly fluff or unrealistic without even giving it at least a try. Yes, Noah has continually poked fun at Raeliana in his own way because, again, he has the maturity of a 5-year-old, but he is not a jerk about the kind of books that she loves to read, and I love that so much. Raeliana falls asleep afterwards, holding on to him, a sign that she's gotten around to trusting him and maybe even needing him. And for Noah, who apparently still doesn't know how to feel or how to move forward with Raeliana, all he knows is that he doesn't want her to leave him or another man to take her. This makes him very confused. Noah, darling, it's love, I tell you. Love. Okay, so one more new face to introduce, and that is Naomi O'Brien, who's unfortunate enough to be the king's aide. I love her character to bits in the webcomic. Too bad that we're at the final stretch and she won't get much screen time. But know that she is a competent boss girl who hates her job but does it anyway, because I'm sure without her the kingdom would fall to pieces. Also, she has absolutely no respect for the king, who happens to be Noah's older brother, and tells him off on occasion. And before you begin to say, oh, she likes him in secret and it's an enemies to lovers thing, let me tell you, no, it really isn't. Anyway, Naomi goes to wake the king, who's late for a meeting, who's in bed with a girl, and anyway, this girl mysteriously disappears after giving us a flash of her underboob, and the king gets stressed. He really should have taken a bath too before putting on clean clothes. Yuck. Meanwhile, the king and Naomi are having a conversation, and the girl that was in bed just mysteriously disappeared into thin air. Where did she go? Is she a fairy? Does she have teleportation magic? Or did she just slip out of some secret passageway? I was thinking these things, so I missed out on the dialogue. I had to return to it. But again, it is very evident that Naomi doesn't give a darn about the king. And anyway, the king is late to a meeting with Noah, and during that meeting, he asks about Raeliana and point blank asks what he intends to do about the fake engagement, now that it's no longer necessary. Surely he's gonna cancel it, right? Right? And Noah does not reply. And all I can say is, Noah, are you still acting like you don't know? Come on, dude. Stop the stupidity. But hey, check it out. He's intent on finishing Raeliana's book, so he took it with him and is reading it while at the meeting with his bro. He's hooked, I tell you. The romance genre really does get a terrible rep by people who have never once given it a try. Thank you, show, for the representation. Meanwhile, Raeliana is at home looking out the window because what else are you supposed to do in a duke's mansion? In the webcomic, she gets extra stuff to do because she gets her correspondence and she gets a letter from good old grandpa who tells her that he's prepared a place for her in the Holy Lands and not to be shy and join him there. She throws the letter into the fire, and when the maid looks shocked, Raeliana replies that it's just one of those stupid chain letters that will curse you if you don't pass it forward. But what's important about this scene is that Raeliana recalls that in the book, on that particular date, something of great import was going to happen, and Beatrice was supposed to show up at the place where the royal seal was kept hidden. So out she goes riding like the devil to meet Beatrice. And man, I love this part. It looks really cool with the sunlight, the music, the horse, who is actually pretty well animated. But knowing that she's gonna go alone to some seemingly remote area to meet this potentially homicidal wench, I don't know. Where's Adam when you need him? Because oh man, I just hope that it all goes well. She's already had at least 2 near-death experiences. Why try for one more? I just hope it all goes well. And thus ends the penultimate episode of why Raeliana ended up at the Duke's mansion. Despite me pointing out how many things got left out from the webcomic, I still really enjoyed this episode. After all, I hadn't yet refreshed my memory with the webcomic before watching it, so it was almost like watching it blind. That's why I can say that this was refreshing in its cuteness. The bit about the magic mirror was a little silly, but I could easily put up with that. We still got banter between these two, but Raeliana is no longer being all irritated and angry and saying things like she hates him under her breath. In fact, we see her exhibiting more trust and openness towards Noah, and that is so wonderful to see. I just want these two to have a healthy relationship full of teasing, bantering, late night reading, and cuteness. Please, before the end of this season, can we at least get one of them to be open about their feelings? Is that too much to ask? Oh, and I want Adam Taylor back. I miss this baby so much, and this girl seems to always be getting herself into trouble, so he obviously needs to be around. I just hope that Raeliana comes back in one piece from wherever it is that she's writing out to. So, fingers crossed for that last episode. Show, please don't let us down. Thanks for watching, everybody. Until next time, bye-bye.